What is going on, guys? Jesse504 here, bringing you all week 3 of APA Academy, and spoilers for the last 2 weeks. Unfortunately, we're 0-2, which isn't ideal. Week 2, I definitely overplayed. Week 1, I think I just got outplayed. I didn't play very well at all, and that caused me to get outplayed. It's simple as that. But, week 3, we are playing Sir Jorge De Great and his San and Eggies, but the fully evolved one. Last time I think we played him in Little Cup where it was Execute, but now we got a low tier game versus him in the APA Academy, and his team is very, very threatening. Consists of Bronzong, Chandelure, Cryogonal, Alolan Executor, Phalanx, Orbeetle, Quagsire, Raichu, Tyrantrum, Vullaby, and Galarian Weezing. The 6 that I expect are Bronzong, Chandelure, Alolan Eggy, Quagsire, Raichu. Actually, there's 7, I think. Bronzong, Chandelure, Alolan Eggy, Quagsire, Raichu, Tyrantrum, Galarian Weezing. Probably is most likely brings. And then, additionally, there's a chance that he might bring, there's a chance for Phalanx, because I know he's liked it a lot. But I really don't see Cryogonal, I don't see Orbeetle coming really in any universe. But the team that we're bringing this week, I wanted to get my man Absol off of the bench this week. Kind of was pressured with a little bit of 4 move slot syndrome, but I think he's chilling this week. We've got Life Orb Absol this week with Super Luck, because he can outspeed a lot of his bulk. And even Tyrantrum. Tyrantrum is a fat issue for my team. The only one that I have that really can take a hit from it or two is Seismitoad. And the Absol that we're rocking out with has the moves Megahorn. Megahorn is good for the Alolan Eggy. I was considering Ice Beam, but I decided Megahorn is more reliable. It also gives me a move for... No, it's just the Alolan Eggy, looking at it, because Dark Coverage hits the Orbeetle anyways. And speaking of Dark Coverage, we got it out the ass. We got Sucker Punch and Knockoff. I figured both of which are very good to have. And then Iron Tail last move, needed to wait a hit, Galarian Weezing. I know Iron Tail isn't that accurate. It's not very trustworthy, but I like it. And then it also gives me a way to hit Tyrantrum. Couldn't fit close combat, then I would be utterly walled by Weezing. So instead we got Iron Tail. Next up, we've got the Sock. Sock is Scarf this week, Scarf Sock. It's max speed because I thought that something hit 80 speed, or hit 85 speed, but it didn't. I thought Chandelure was 85, but it was 80, and I expected Scarf Chandelure, so I was just max speed. And it was Close Combat, Earthquake, Stone Edge, and Ice Punch. Mold Breaker is great this week. It gives us a way to 2-tap the Weezing if it's Def. Gives us a way to damage the Bronzong, though I expect Heat Proof. And then that's really the molds that we need to break. Also lets us freely lock EQ really into this team because it doesn't have a... I guess Vullaby is a thing. We got Stone Edge, and then we can in theory click EQ a little bit safer, even if he has a Cryogonal in the back. And we got Ice Punch for the Aggie, and then we got Stone Edge because I do not disrespect Vullaby. Up next, we've got Entei. Entei's got lefties this week. Pressure ability, rocking it with Subtoxic this week, I think. Subtoxic is fantastic because it lures in the Quagsire and can beat it 1v1. It also, whatchamacallits, it can damage the Bronzong. It threatens out the Bronzong unless it's heat proof. I expect heat proof, but hell, it might not be. And we've got investment in all stats because I want it to be funny. There's like 4 EV points. It doesn't change anything. 120, it's still 120. I just wanted to... It looks ugly if you waste the 4 points, you feel me? And now they're not going to come back, but it's whatever. Up next, we've got Roserade. Specs Rose this week looks fantastic. The only coverage we really needed was Shadow Ball. And then for the Chandelure and Bronzong, and then everything else is just getting fucked up. We got Sludge Ball, Leaf Storm, and Giga Drain. Looks like very potent early game wall breaker, very potent end game cleaner. Again, we're rocking out with max speed because I do believe he actually has a base 90 this time. He does. He has Orbeetle. And so, didn't want to like get outsped by that or something and have something go poorly. Up next, Noivern. Noivern this week is Heavy Duty Boots, Frisk Ability, Roost, U-Turn, Taunt, and Hurricane. I figured Bronzong would be his immediate check to this, so I wanted to set that could be Bronzong. And this is what I came up with. Roost, Super Fang, Taunt, and Hurricane. Taunt is very good for like stopping the Bronzong from getting up rocks or something, or doing like Iron Defense shenanigans. Super Fang, good to take 50% off of it. Roost to stay healthy, and then Hurricane just as an attacking move. Seemed seemed like the best flying spin, was pretty good into Jorge's team. And yeah, his flying resist was Tyrantrum, which doesn't really want to come in. And then there's Bronzong. So, and lastly, last minute addition, we got Seismitoad with the Rindo Berry. Want to be offensive. I really want to use Rain Dance Seismitoad 1 week. Unfortunately, this was not the week because there's a whole ass Tyrantrum. We got Earth Power, Toxic, Stealth Rock, and Scald. Very physically defensive. Need to take some hits from the thingy. Some hits from Tyrantrum. And then we've also got a little bit of Spin Up with the Rindo Berry. We can take a hit from Eggy or from Chandelure. And I value those both a lot. And then Toxic is great, and then Rock's very important. But yeah, these are the 6 we were bringing, and I'll see you guys in the battle. Alrighty, and I got a post-com for you guys today. Played on Showdown. I don't like live comming Showdown, but I did. But then I forgot to hit record, so it looks like things work out in mysterious ways. But we've got Showdown replay. First few turns happened on Wi-Fi. I accidentally deleted that recording. I'm very stupid. So I will sort of explain like the recreation, I guess, and sort of what happened on Wi-Fi. Basically, I decided getting rocks up looked very free. Early game, Seismitoad just looks fantastic. Unless we saw like an Eggy lead or like a Raichu lead, Seismitoad looked nuts. I was very surprised by a lack of Tyrantrum at Team Preview. I figured that was a mode that needed to come. So it freed up Seismitoad, which is why I decided to lead it, because I didn't really need it as much anymore. So I will just lead that into his Wheezing lead. So basically he gets a rocker, or he gets his defogger in turn 1. I set up rocks, but we just did this in a slightly different order. So he sludge bombed me as I set up rocks. Okay, and now he has the defog, and he also reveals to be faster than me. Wheezing has to be very fucking fast to be faster than a Seismitoad, and I outspeed, which is great. He also revealed Levitate, which I haven't mentioned yet, as he clicks defog again because just the sequencing. That's just the way that it had to go so that I could get a second Scald on him without risking being potentially like Sludge Bomb poisoned. And then he gets into the Eggy room, and I reveal my Rindo Berry, so I just get up rocks. And as you look at my team, I don't really have a great pivot into the Eggy. I go out into Entei as he makes a play into his Bronzong, which it looked like I was basically Jesus, but it turns out I'm not. I just get a sub up. As he sets the Trick Room, which is very interesting. He does have a couple Trick Room setters, so it makes sense at least that this team is good. I protect, stall a turn of Trick Room, knowing that this thing can't really do much setting up, aside from like Iron Defense Body Press, but I think that wouldn't be on a Trick Room set. So he EQs again, as I just Flamethrower, as he reveals to be Heat Proof. And now I think Entei is very valuable this game, potentially sub-toxicing other stuff down. So I get on out into that Noivern, and he gets up his rocks this turn. Great play by him. And then he's then Headbutts and is doing like 29. So I get a nice Super Fang chip off, put him at 50% at the end of this turn. And now I can reveal the Taunt, which is great. This Noivern is super good at just 1v1ing this Bronzong. And I can Super Fang again, or I can Roost. I have a bunch of plays, but I Super Fang as he goes for the Zen, which is fair play by him. Can't really do much else. I might have considered switching from his side, but he doesn't really have anything that pivots into Noivern that well. So I take another Zen Headbutt, and then the Taunt ends here, and he goes out into the Quag now. And I figure taunting Quag is nice either way if it comes in, as we do get a nice taunt off on the Quagsire. And I want to Super Fang down the Quag, but he goes hard into the Bronzong again, and he's very low now. The point where I think a Hurricane potentially had a roll to kill, but I'm not sure yet. But I just wanted to get the taunt off again, make sure that he can't do any Trick Room shenanigans, as he's on headbutts me. So we have to do this little song and dance again. We're gonna roost up, as he'll be able to recover some lefties recovery. And yeah, this is basically, we have a few turns in front of this, but we're getting chip on the Bronzong, which is great for a ROSERADE endgame. Because Specs ROSERADE looks fantastic here. As we reveal, the Hurricane doing 19%, and he goes for the Zen. Crits us, which is unfortunate, because now he can set up the Trick Room as we are forced into a Roost turn. It's a 50-50, but I figured a Roost turn was much safer on our play. He gets up the Trick Room, and now I have to Roost again, stalling out the Trick Room 4 turns. But he gets into the Eggy, and there isn't really much I can do. I just Roost. And I don't really pivot into this thing, so let the Noivern go down. It did its job, it chipped the Bronzong. And a half special attack Eggy is much easier to pivot into, but he reveals the eject pack and goes out into the Weezing. And now I know I'm faster than I'm slower than the Weezing with my Seismitoad, so I get that in and threaten out the Weezing. But he goes right back out into the Eggy. I almost Toxic there, but I figured it wasn't really worth. I just get the Scald off. No burn yet, unfortunately, but I get out into the Entei last turn of Trick Room. Expecting a Grass move, I think he should have popped my Rindo, but he goes for Psyshock, expecting the Rose. Fair play, fair play. And Quagsire comes back in as I get my sub up, I believe. Yep, and now we can sub-Toxic the Quagsire, which is great. Getting a Toxic on this one is super nice. And we nail the Toxic, we land it. As he Earth Powers. I don't know if I can agree with that, because like, what if I was Special Solar Beam Quag again? Brought a similar set from, or Special Solar Beam Entei, brought a similar set. If I Calm Mind eventually, the Earth Power is not breaking my sub. He goes out into the Bronzong on my Protect, and I kind of just get to go back out into the Seismitoad and try to sack it up potentially. But he makes an interesting play into the Chandelure, and I'm afraid of this thing clicking Energy Ball, but I do have my berry intact, my Rindo berry, and I just want to punish this thing for potentially like setting up with a Calm Mind or something, so I just Earth Power, as he reveals to be sub and slower than me, so he was a Trick Room Shandy. He preserves the Shandy for a sack later game, as we Earth Power the Eggy again, and now I think it's just time. We all know that we gotta let the Seismitoad go down. I Toxic this Mon, figure that I should set up to potentially win later. But now that he's at half special attack, I can safely make a play into my ROSERADE save Seismitoad as a sack to change Specs moves, and I can start clicking Shadow Ball. He goes out into the Weezing, that's Shadow Ball range for sure. I couldn't lock Sludge Bomb yet because the Bronzong was alive. I couldn't lock Giga Drain yet because Eggy was alive, so Shadow Ball was just the safe play. And then he sacked that off, going out into the Bronzong to sack that off. At this point, everything was in range of just a regular Rose, so we were just kind of clicking on Mons. But we were Specs, so we had to sort of switch stuff up. And then he also goes out into the Eggy to sack that Mon off. Well, yeah, everything is in Rose range. Rose is pretty much able to. Now, because the Chandelure's at 1%, it can lock Giga Drain once it's able to switch out moves, which means that as he finally reveals that we're Specs, I think I go into the Toad to sack that off, knowing that Quag can't really do much. He Earth Powers, which is perfectly fine for me. I figured that was my safest play, just Toad, sack it off, and then let me get into my ROSERADE, clean up, and we were able to take home a win in APA Academy. As you guys can see, Chandelure will come in, and we Giga Drain that, which is great. And then you'll see Raichu come in, and it clicks Volt Switch, which is perfectly fine. Doesn't reveal any sort of item, so he gets into the Quag, who will Giga Drain back up to full. And then the Raichu will be able to come back in, and it'll click, I believe, Play Rough, which was an interesting bring. Also an interesting lock for a final move. I think this was choice, just based on the way he played it. And Giga Drain is able to recover us back up, and we were able to take a 4-0 win on the back of ROSERADE, picking up 6 kills, which is crazy. It wasn't even like a setup set, it was just Specs. I saw in matchup, it was able to claim, and I sort of just capitalized on that. But good game to my man Jorge. Showdown sucks. I prefer Wi-Fi, but LAN also sucks. And I feel like I played this game well, analyzed what I sort of needed, and thought a lot more than I normally do. Normally I'm like, yeah, I'm vibing during games. But now I was thinking and vibing, which was great. You guys probably don't understand what I mean, but it just felt like I was playing better than I normally do. But with all that being said, hope you guys did enjoy another game in the APA Academy, even though it was on Showdown. And yeah, until next time, Jesse504 out. Peace.